Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Mark from MJST, and I have the lovely Christine line.
I'm lovely.
What we were just talking about as we finished our workout and we're driving over here is that the body always keeps score, and that was something that's always been really intriguing to me since I met Christine. I've been hearing her talk about that. I inherently know that it's true. I don't know all the things behind it, but I definitely know, like, my body's telling me things that I need to know. So break it down for us a little bit, Christine. Just like
on the fly here, not prepared at all.
High level, yeah. Like what do you mean by the body's always keeping score?
So the body does not lie, and it's always keeping score. And I think that after 20 years in the health and wellness industry as a practitioner, I will tell you this, that the body is constantly giving you feedback. It's constantly tapping, poking at you. And the way it does that is through little things like headaches and postural issues and tension and shortness of breath. And so those are just little triggers that your body's telling you something's wrong here, something's out of alignment, I'm not functioning optimally. So it's like a gauge going off on your car, and it seems so simple, yet when we ignore the gauge, other things start to blow up. And so how that gauge gets blown or off kilter is it could be a number of things. It could be an injury that happened, actual like physical injury. It could be trauma, something that you experienced when you were younger that gets stored in the nervous system, like it shocks you, it rattles you, and so the body starts to protect itself, which is actually what happens when you injure yourself too, right? It's like an injury to the body. It closes off to protect itself, and so it will protect itself in a number of different ways. And so when we do this, energy gets stuck or stored and it can't pass through, right? So the body starts to compensate. So we call this compensation, and energy starts to like not be able to move through that area, and it starts to go to other places. And now we end up with like 3 to 4 broken parts until eventually that little gauge that blows up turns into something chronic.
Got it. So it could be kind of like when I don't know, like if I hurt my wrist, right? Or I twist my ankle, right? I'm gonna limp for a while to like release pressure on that joint for a little bit, right? Until it feels better. So it's kind of the same way. So if like, whatever, there's some sort of trauma in the body and all of a sudden I notice like my neck is stiff, right? Or my back is sore, or my shoulder's hurting, or the headache is there. So I'm gonna try to avoid doing that. So what I would do is naturally just go grab my Aleve and medicate, or my Scotch.
Exactly. So that's what we do, right? Our body goes through things. So you're talking about actual injuries, but it could be something so simple like being stressed at work and being in a position where you're closed off and you're having to protect and you're stressed out. And so your shoulders constrict, your head constricts, you start getting chronic headaches. And what we do is, instead of dealing with the root cause, we start, like you said, we numb out, we medicate, we avoid through a variety of different things by either pushing it away or pushing it aside or ignoring the root cause. And when we do that, we're not actually fixing anything. We're sticking a Band-Aid on something that's rotting more and more and more until eventually it starts to permeate into other areas. So whether we're talking about just not dealing with stress in a relationship or stress at work, or how we handle stories and things that come up, triggers that come up for us, or past, hurts, physical or emotional, it doesn't matter. The body is just like keeping a scorecard, right? And so when it's undealt with, the scorecard keeps racking up, and it eventually, unfortunately, after it taps long enough and you don't pay attention, it starts to tap louder with more pain, with more inflammation. And if you still don't listen, from the weight gain, from the headaches, from the inflammation, from the shortness of breath, from the headaches, that is when we start to see things turn into cancer, autoimmune diseases, chronic injuries that now require a lot of intensive treatment to really reverse and really become debilitating over time.
Wow. Yeah. So I like the analogy of the body as a dashboard.
It's totally like a dashboard.
Because if I'm driving down the road and my check oil and light comes on my pickup, the next time I pull over, I'm going to check my oil.
And honestly, that's what it is. It's not about like there's something wrong with me, right? It's like I hear this all the time when people come to work with me. They're like, there's something wrong with me. I've always been this way. I'm this, I'm that. Like, you're not the thing. What this is just like feedback mechanism, right? So if you could take yourself outside of the body and get curious about like, I wonder, this keeps coming up. Like, this light keeps flashing. I wonder what that means. Or if you're like, you know, I take terrible care of my car, so I'm a terrible example of this, but like when that engine light keeps flashing and flashing and flashing and the oil light is on, if you ignore it long enough, you're going to end up in serious trouble. Right. So it's like, there's not something wrong with me if my car's light is flashing. It just means I get to do something about it, or I get to ignore it and then do something about it later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your body. Watch the dashboard. Listen for the feedback. Everything else is just surviving, my friends. It's your time to thrive today. Let's go get it.